Hey guys, remember back when Wizards of the Coast screwed up the OGL and then did a bunch of sidestepping and then said that they weren't really going to do that, and then it turns out they were going to do that, but they were only going to do it to companies that were making more than X dollars, and then they sidestepped again and said, okay, we've screwed things up and we heard you, and it was so bad inside their company that you had employees in revolt. And then they sent out letters to influencers telling them to shut up and not talk about it so they'd be safe. And we thought that was as bad as it could get. Remember when Wizards of the Coast sent the Pinkertons after a Magic the Gathering reviewer YouTube channel right after they did that? And we thought that was as bad as it could get. Remember when Wizards of the Coast fired 20% of their employees literally just before Christmas? And we thought that was as bad as it could get. Remember when Wizards of the Coast released a book on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons where they tore down the creators of Dungeons and Dragons for committing the unforgivable sin of being a couple of old white dudes from the Midwest, and we thought that was as bad as it could get? Believe me, it's gotten about as bad as it can get. So far. Let me preface what I'm about to tell you with a very, very brief history of as bad as TSR got. In the mid-1990s, TSR looked out and they saw the people who were sharing stuff on BBS networks, on pre-internet social media like AOL, Genie, Prodigy, CompuServe, Quantum Link, services like that. And they freaked out and they fired lawsuits off at a rate of 300 rounds a minute. So, what to do? You can't use the fastest and easiest system possible to trade your ideas with fellow gamers, to discuss Dungeons and Dragons with fellow gamers. Here's the company that creates the game threatening you with a lawsuit if you do it on any of these information services. Well, bless their hearts and their benevolence, TSR said, you know what? Maybe we overreacted a little bit. Maybe this internet information age is a good thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our own FTP site. We're going to set up our own little corner on AOL. And all you have to do if you want to share your modules, your ideas, your campaign worlds, your classes, your spells, your magic weapons, and that sort of thing, and not get sued by us, is upload your material to our FTP site, or only share it on America Online in our little corner. Now, of course, doing that means you agree that it belongs to us and we can repackage it and we can sell it and we can make money off of it and never acknowledge that you even exist because it's our property at that point. You basically become a zero pay employee for hire to us if you upload your material to us, and you have to, because if you do it anywhere else, we're going to sue you. That was as bad as TSR got back in the day. That was the mid-1990s. A couple of years later, the rotten and collapsing TSR was bought by Wizards of the Coast, who immediately took their boot off of the necks of gamers. Unfortunately, that was 30 years ago. Today, it's a little different. No, today, Wizards of the Coast has decided to become as bad as mid-1990s TSR. You don't believe me? Look at this. We'll read this together. This is from the Wizards of the Coast website. This is from their They're basically opt-in for D&D Beyond, which is how most people share D&D stuff on the internet. And you might think, Bill, why do you care? This has to do with 5th edition. This has to do with 6th edition or 5.5e or D&D 24. I don't care what you call it. But let's read together. This is their terms and services agreement, which again, I will link to. By posting or submitting any user content to or through the websites, games, or services, you hereby irrevocably grant to Wizards a worldwide, perpetual, irrevocable, royalty-free, that means you'll never get paid or acknowledged, non-exclusive, and fully sub-licensable license to use, reproduce, modify, adapt, publish, translate, create derivative works from, distribute, perform, and display such user content in whole or in part in any media, and to incorporate the user content into other works in any format or medium now known or later developed. The foregoing grants shall include the rights to exploit any proprietary rights in such user content. Exploit seems to be the exact word. Including, but not limited to, rights under copyright, trademark, or patent laws under any relevant jurisdiction, your name, likeness, and any other information included in your user content without any obligation to you. You waive any and all claims and that any use by us or our licensees of your user content violates any of your rights, including moral rights, privacy rights, rights to publicity, proprietary attribution, or other rights, and rights to any material or ideas contained in your user content. They are flat out saying, we will dox you if we want to, if we see you out on D&D Beyond. And we can do it. It's right here in black and white. It's legally binding. We'll dox you if we feel like it. For shits and giggles. For hand over fist profits. We'll dox you. We'll take your material. We'll re-upload it and call it our own. That is exactly the rotten behavior that TSR engaged in back in the mid-1990s. Do you know why TSR was collapsing? Because they were hemorrhaging fans. They weren't making money. And that corporate attitude was part of the reason. Now, unfortunately for us, get that garbage off the screen. Unfortunately for us, Wizards of the Coast is hooked to a perpetual life support system that is Hasbro. If it was just Wizards of the Coast, I would say they'll be dead in a year or so. They will have to sell Dungeons and Dragons. They have become incredibly toxic because now they are just as bad as TSR. They sue regularly. That's what people started calling TSR from the mid-late 1980s all the way up to their cessation as a company. TSR. They sue regularly. Leave a comment down below and tell me what you think Wizards might stand for. WotC. And so here we are. End stage corporate cancer. They're just as bad as TSR was. If you're too young to remember, or maybe you weren't that in touch with what they were doing, you know, maybe it was you to the game store, back to your house, gaming with your friends, and I envy you that. What Wizards of the Coast is doing now is just as bad. And you might think, Bill, this has nothing to do with the classic end of TTRPG stuff. Oh, yes, it does. You can absolutely upload stuff to D&D Beyond that is dual use, old school. Don't do it. Because this right here, this bullshit right here, this will wreck you. You'll have the coolest idea for your own little project. Hey, I'm going to share this on D&D Beyond. Maybe kind of hook in some people who might be playing 5th edition or D&D 2024 or 6e, 5.5, whatever, again, you call it. Oops, turns out it was too good of an idea. Because right here in section 5.2, Wizards of the Coast is saying, not only can we will. If we see an opportunity, we will. And I guarantee you, if they weren't legally obligated to put this in there, if they could just do it to you, they would. So this is where we are with Wizards of the Coast now. They have come full circle. They are as awful as TSR was back before Wizards of the Coast bought them. Congratulations, WotC. Well done. With that said, of course, as always, I'd like to hear your opinions down below. Is this a bunch of hyperbole? Or is it just as bad as it seems? Again, I would like to hear from you. And if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and please click the bell icon for notifications about this and other wonderful news. Wizards of the Coast is apparently going to release an update to whatever news about the OGL that they have on the 22nd. That's supposed to be an official word coming out, and I, of course, will cover it. Fortunately, they don't appear to have done anything with old school D&D. They've, have just once again kicked that can down the road as far as putting classic D&D stuff into Creative Commons. And I doubt we'll get any news about it, but I'll share what I have with you guys. Anyway, and again, I'd like to hear from you down in the comments. If you like the video, even if you don't like the news, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me why. Until then, just don't trust Wizards of the Coast at all. If you ever did, just don't. Just don't. If you want to share your stuff, whether it is brand new for the latest editions or whether it's old school stuff for original, basic, first, second, third, fourth, whatever, share it anywhere. Share it on social media. Make a YouTube video about it. Make a website. But don't share it on D&D Beyond. Peace.